All right, this video is about converting a decimal to a fraction and a percent to a fraction. So here are the steps for converting a decimal to a fraction. First, all the digits to the right of the decimal will become the numerator. Second, the place value of the final digit on the right of the decimal indicates our denominator. And then once we have that fraction made, we then want to reduce to lowest terms. So let's look at some examples of this. So here we have decimal to a fraction, some questions here. Okay, so again, the steps there. So for my numerator, all the digits to the right of the decimal become the numerator. So we've got a 7. And then our denominator is based on the place value of the final digit to the right. This one is in the tenths place, so this becomes 10. So 7 over 10 is equivalent or the same as 0.7, okay, or 7 tenths, which 7 tenths. Okay, let's try the next one. Okay, so 0.09 or 9 hundredths. So again, hundredths, our denominator is going to be 100, and we can put the 0.9 above or just put a 9 above, and then I can reduce that. That one is in lowest terms. How do I know it's in lowest terms? The only, or the greatest common factor between these two, which 1, 3, and 9 for 9, is 1. Okay, next, 0.3 or 3 tenths or 30 hundredths. So you could put 30 over 100, which when I reduce it is going to be the 3 tenths. So I'm going to divide each of these by 10, as that's the greatest common factor, and that gives me 3 over 10. All right, here we go. What do we have? We have 15 hundredths, so 15 over 100. Now I can reduce it. The factors of 15 are 1, 3, 5, and 15. So the greatest common there is going to be 5. Divided by 5, divided by 5 is going to equal 3 over 20. Next, we have 60 hundredths or 6 tenths. So we're going to go 6 over 10. I can reduce that. The greatest common factor between these, you got 1, 2, 3, and 6 as the factors for 6. 6 not a factor of 10, 3 not a factor of 10, 2 is. We'll divide it by 2. That will give us 3/5. All right, the one point I didn't make mention of on there is what to do when we have a whole number. Whole numbers are still whole numbers. We're turning the parts into a fraction. So a whole number is going to stay as one whole. And then, so then we're worried about this. And it's 5 tenths or 50 hundredths if you want. Again, I can reduce this one because 5 is the greatest common factor between those two. So we're going to have 1 and 1/2. All right, here's another one. It's asking us to express this decimal as a fraction in lowest terms. So the decimal's here, and we've got 55 hundredths. So it's 55 hundredths. Okay, again, the final digit to the right is in the hundredth spot, and I put all of the decimal above for the numerator. So my greatest common factor between these two is 5. I'm going to divide by 5. That's going to give me 11 over 20 as my fraction in lowest terms. All right, here we've got 6 more here. Get all those on there. Okay, so we've got 12 hundredths. So again, 12 over 100. Factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. 12 does not go into 100, 6 does not go to 100, 4 does. So let's divide both by 4 to reduce. That's going to be 3 over 25. All right, we've got 1 tenth, so 1 over 10. Just a reminder, anytime you have a 1 as your numerator, you're in lowest terms. We have 3 tenths, so 3 over 10. The factors of 3 are 1 and 3. Greatest common factor there is 1, so that is in lowest terms. All right, 75 hundredths. Okay, we're in the 100 spot, the 5, everything above for the numerator, 100 below. Now I can reduce. The greatest common factor of these two is 25. Okay, so that's going to be 3 over 4. All right, we've got 6 hundredths, 6 over 100. Factors of 6, 1, 2, 3, and 6. That is not 2. You can divide both by 2. is going to be 3 over 50. And then our last one here, 1 and 25 hundredths. So we have 1 whole, 25 over 100. Okay, 25 is a factor of 100, so I'm going to divide both by 25 to get that 1 on the top. It's going to be 1 1/4. All right, so that's how you go from a decimal to a fraction. Now we're going to go from a percent to a fraction. So to show you this one, here's the steps for that one, percent to a fraction. So we're going to remove the percent sign, and what does that percent sign mean again? Percent sign means out of 100. So we're going to remove the percent sign and then place whatever digits our percent is as the numerator over 100, and then I'm going to reduce again, okay? So our denominator for these is going to be 100 because it's, as the percent sign means, out of 100. So let's look at a couple of these. So here we have on these ones. So 75%, so it means 75. Make that as the numerator. Get rid of this thing and turn that into 100. So 75 out of 100, now I need to reduce. This one, 82 out of 100. These are really easy to start. 28 out of 100 and 8 out of 100. Now I just need to reduce them. 25 is the greatest common factor, so it's going to give me 3 over 4. 82, I don't know all the factors of 82, I doubt you do as well, but I know that those are both even, so I can at least divide them by 2. So that gives me 41 over, 41 over 50. And 41 is not going to reduce any further than that. 28, when I think of 28, I think 7 times 4. 7 going to 100, no, does 4? Yes. Let's try dividing both by 4 and see where that gets us. It's going to be 7 over 25. Okay, and 7 is a prime number, 1 and 7. 7 doesn't go in 25, so that's in lowest terms. 8, the factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4, and 8. 8 doesn't go into 100, but 4 does, so let's divide both by 4. So that gives us 2 over 25. 4 times 25, 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, so that's fairly simple. Now the question comes up, what about when our percentages aren't whole numbers and we have decimals within them? So this adds one more step in here. So this one, I'll demonstrate how I think about it. There might be other ways to understand it, but this is what I do. Okay, so I'm going to do the same steps again. This means out of 100. So this is, and I'm going to put all of this above, 0.6 out of 100. Now, one rule about fractions we know is we can't have a decimal in the fraction. So how would I get rid of this? The way I get rid of this is I basically multiply the top and the bottom, because we have to do the same thing to both, by 10. That in turn moves my decimal over here. So 0.6 times 10 gives me 6. And so now I'm just making an equivalent fraction basically. So 100 times 10 gets me 1,000. So there's one decimal place, so I got to move it over 1, so I got to move this decimal place over 1. So now I have 6 over 1,000, and then I can reduce that. So again, 1, 2, 3, and 6. When you get up to 1,000, you might need to use a calculator to help you reduce these. But even if I divide this by 2, it's going to give me 3 over 500. And that to me seems like that's going to be in lowest terms because that's 1 and 3. 3 is not a factor of 500. Let's try another one, 12.8. So we got 12.8 over 100. So what's it going to do? We're going to move 1 to the right, 1 to the right. They're going to be 128 over 1,000. And now I can reduce that. So I use a calculator on this one because I'm a little off the top of my head. So my first thing is going to be, is 128 a factor of 1,000? It is not. So 128, add those together, you've got 9, 11. Okay, so that's not 3 or 9, doesn't work with that one. Divided by 8. Okay, so it works by 8, and 1,000 I can divide by 8. 125. Okay, so we've got divide by 8, we've got 16 over 125. Okay, so then the factors of 16 are 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. 125 divided by any of those ends in a 5, so I doubt it. Divided by 8, nope. Okay, so I'm going to say we're in lowest terms here. 125 divided by 4, that ain't going to work either. Okay, 16 over 25. Next one, 37.5. So again, 37.5 over 100. Move it one spot over for both of them. You have 375 over 1,000. Now 375, I do know you could do that one by 25 if you want, but I know that 375 is divisible by 125, which is 3. So you can have 3 over, and 1,000 divided by 125 is going to give you 8. So 3/8 is in lowest terms. All right, 9.5 over 100. Move it over a spot, so you got 95 over 1,000. Okay, this one, 90, let's even try and divide. 95 divided by 5 is 19. So we're going to divide each by 5. So it's going to give us 19 over 200, and that's in lowest terms. And that's, okay, there it goes back to. So that is how we go from decimal to fraction and percent to fraction.